Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from one of our dear listener. She says that she has a message that she wants to share with us. It is more like a warning. She wants to give a warning to the other ladies who are out there who love this thing of online dating. So a message reads like this: oh yes, you mean dating. I once downloaded this other app. So this app, the name of the app, Hidden, I downloaded this app. It was in February this year. After I had downloaded that app, I then decided to log on that app because I had been single for a very long time. I had been single for almost a year. Then I decided to download that app. After I had logged on that app, that was when I met this other guy. The guy that I met on that dating app, the man was a Nigerian. When I met this Nigerian guy, then he told me that he wanted to meet up with him. So when I was in town, that was when he told me that he could organize a car for me so that it can come and collect me. Then I would go over and meet up with him. We were going to meet for the first time. At that time, when this Nigerian guy called me, I was at this certain restaurant. I was buying some food so that I will eat it by the time that I would have reached home. So I then went outside of that restaurant and I waited for the car that he had told me that it was going to pick me up. He then told me that as soon as the car would have arrived at the place where I was supposed to get inside that car. Then when the car takes me to him, he was going to pay for the car upon its arrival there. So I went there. Then around 10, that was when we started to chill. He asked me if I wanted anything to drink because for him, he was not drinking because he was driving. Then he told me that at his place, his neighbor, there is a bar. So once we had arrived at his place, he then bought one bottle for me, but he said he wanted to buy me 2 bottles of beer. He wanted to see me if I am drunk. He said that I want to see you, how you behave the moment that you are drunk. I then said 1 is fine. Then he bought 1 beer of alcohol for me. After he had brought that beer of alcohol for me, and he proceeded to buy 1 for himself. So we started drinking, and as we were drinking, we started kissing just as lovers do. Then we went to bed. We slept. Then around 11, that is when I started to hear that there was too much noise because just right next door to him there was a bar. So there was too much noise that I struggled to fall asleep. I could not sleep at all. I didn't fall asleep easy. I stayed like that until it was load shedding. When load shedding happened, this was somewhere around 2. The music went off. I fell asleep somewhere around 4 a.m. We then did another round. Then I struggled to fall asleep again. 4:30 a.m. I had something in his wardrobe. This thing, it was hissing. This thing was like sss, sss, sss. I tried to ignore that hissing sound, but this sound, it got to my nerves, so I could not even ignore this hissing sound. I tried to wake him up and I told him that I wanted to pee, but I lied because before we had fallen asleep that very night, he had brought a bucket and he had told me that if you wanted to pee, you can use this bucket in the night. When that Nigerian guy switched on the light, that was when I lied to him, and I lied to him and I told him that I wanted to do a number 2 instead of peeing. That was when he opened the door and he showed me the place where the toilet was. So when he opened his door, that was when I saw the opportunity to run away. I grabbed my bag and I said, please open the front door. After he had opened the front door, I ran away because that thing in the wardrobe, it was sounding as if it was a snake. It was not keeping quiet throughout the night. I told him that there was another car that was waiting for me outside. He opened his front door, then I left. When I arrived back home, that was somewhere around 5 a.m., I told myself that I won't sleep that day, but around 6 a.m., I fell asleep at home. Then before I woke up, that was somewhere around 7 a.m., I had a dream and he was online. This Nigerian guy, he was on WhatsApp and he was busy posting photos of his snake whilst the snake was lying down on his bed. This thing, I saw it in my dreams. Then after having this terrible dream, I then woke up, and after I had woken up, I found out that this Nigerian guy, he was online, he was on WhatsApp posting his new WhatsApp statuses, which I never viewed until he removed those statuses that he had posted. He removed those status same day. This was somewhere around 12 midday. He asked me on WhatsApp why did I leave his house just like that, and I lied to him that there was an emergency because my friend was giving birth. I pretended talking to him then after 1 month until I told him that he didn't hear that thing that was making noise in his wardrobe. He said, "What thing?" After he had asked me what thing was making noise in his wardrobe, that was when I decided to block him. Ever since then, it is true, some people out there are evil. I stayed for 2 months without dating anyone. Then I met another guy who was acting all strange. He invited me to his place for the first time. The moment that I arrived at his place, I noticed that there was a pot that was on top of the stove and a big knife and a tropical juice. Before I entered into his flat, I greeted him in the entrance and he pretended like he knew me for long in front of the security. He didn't want the security to know that this was like the first time for us to meet up with each other. We go up into his flat. Then he started complaining that he wanted to take a bath. Okay, but before that, he then made a very funny phone call that I could not understand. Whilst he was on the phone call, he was talking to someone, and whilst he was talking to that person over the phone, I only heard him saying, "The parcel has arrived." He finished talking on the phone and he offered me a drink, and I said, "I just finished drinking Coca-Cola just now," and it was the truth. I was not thirsty. He started to kiss me and removing my clothes, then left me where we were standing between the bathroom and the kitchen with a stove, pot, knife and juice. He opened the tap on the bathtub like he was putting the water in the bath whilst I was naked, like we were about to have sexual intercourse. I found it to be very strange, the phone call and this thing about him saying that the parcel has arrived, yet I was the only person that had arrived at his apartment. So why was he saying that the parcel has just arrived? I grabbed my bag and I ran out of the streets. I found the security whilst I was still half naked with only my panties on. I told the security whilst I was dressing that this guy was acting very strange. He said that this guy was working in the mortuary and the security blamed me for not even writing my name down before I had entered that flat. I ran away and I never looked back. Yes, that site is very dangerous, trust me, because I am spiritual. I see things. The day before I visited him, I had a dream, and in that dream I was stabbing someone, a man, in the neck. So everything he was doing was just making me to remember my dreams, which I was looking whilst I was looking at that big knife that was placed on his stove. You guys, right there was a message that I received from our dear sister right there. Then she wrote another message and she said, "I had something in his wardrobe, but he told me that this one is a rental room inside that house. It was not only his house, there were some other tenants and kids. I saw kids before I went to sleep when we went to buy alcohol. But he shouted at me. That is why I was standing at the door, like he wanted no one else to see me, that I was in his room or something."